Third thing you want to do with your children is this. Um, every black child in America must know how to run their own business. You have to know how to run your own business for the same reasons you'd want to know how to grow and cook your own food. Um, One of the things that we've been trained to do as black people over hundreds of years is to believe that our solemn goal in life is to go to school, work hard, so we can go work for a white person. That's not a new tradition. That's something that's been around since slavery. Slavery was not that long ago. Our grandparents could have been slaves, people our age. And so, when you look at our mindset when it comes to how we make money, the way many of us think about making money, which comes from childhood, we learned this from our parents, is we think, okay, if I have some skills, I go to some corporation that's not owned by people who look like me. It's owned by somebody else's community, and we go in and we go to these jobs and we just work hard. And because we work hard, money's just gonna come from somewhere, right? Maybe we think it comes from Jesus or something, right? The money just pops up because we worked hard and we put in the hours, and I get a paycheck, and this is how much you owe me, and that's it. And the problem with that is that it creates a fundamental lack of understanding of how the economic system works, how capitalism works, how America works, and unfortunately how racism kind of works. You see, here's the problem with racism. This is where black people kind of fool ourselves a little bit. Um, we think that we can go work for a company owned by a white man and that he's going to treat us just like he treats other white men. That ain't true. That's just not true. The statistical indicators, and I hate being the bearer of bad news, and I hope I don't sound pessimistic, but the statistical indicators show that clearly in this economic system, black people are not treated the same as whites. Part of it is due to racism. We know racism is real and all that, but part of it is kind of due to human nature as well. Um, most cultural groups show a tendency to support themselves and support each other. If you go to Arab neighborhoods, Indian neighborhoods, Chinese neighborhoods, etc., they tend to buy from each other. They tend to hire each other. They tend to loan each other money. They tend to have each other's back economically. They will fire you before they fire someone who's from their own family or from their own culture. They understand that coalition building is a very important part of your economic survival. So for black people, in order for us to solve our persistent unemployment problem, because our unemployment rate tends to be twice as high as it is for whites, for black people to solve our persistent unemployment problem, we absolutely positively must find a way to create businesses in our communities. We must do that because the thing about it is that another thing statistics show is that when white organizations get to about 6-7% black, the perceived value of those organizations starts to decline. People, for whatever reason, white and black, start to see those organizations as being, lower quality and just not as good, and so there tends to be a barrier at that point. Well, 6 to 7% is not enough to support the masses of black people, and we're 13% of the population. So, even though there are a few of us who get those jobs at those white companies, maybe we get to be that one black manager out of 200 people. The majority of us never get in the door. So your child needs to be prepared for this. Needs to be prepared for what can only be described as economic warfare. The economic warfare shows itself in the sense that that other people are making money off of black people. Other people are manipulating black people to extract wealth from black people. Other people are keeping black people away from specific opportunities. And so, if you come into this situation naive, imagine showing up to a fight and you show up not only without any weapons, you are defenseless, and you don't even know there's a fight. What's going to happen to you? You're going to get hit upside your head. And that's what happens. We go into the economic system and get hit upside our head because we're not even ready for the fight that's coming. We just think, oh, it's kumbaya, racism's over, Jim Crow is done, and civil rights movement, Martin Luther King and Barack Obama, black president, everything's good. And then next thing you know, you've got this advanced degree from some prestigious university, and you can't get a job, and you don't understand why. Everybody tells you you're overqualified, underqualified, you're not the right fit, and they don't explain why. And or you get jobs and the money's not what it should be, or you're watching the white guy down the hall get the promotion that you deserved, or you get the job and maybe even the promotion, but you're so mad and frustrated because you're being mistreated. You're sort of being forced to behave in certain ways, and it makes you uncomfortable, makes you unhappy, makes you miserable. You don't want your child to go through that. A lot of you who are watching this, you know what I'm talking about. You've gone through that. I want you to stop for 1 second and just think. Let's close our eyes for a minute. Just think for a second. Think about one time in your life where you went to work every day and didn't want to be there, where you were being treated unfairly and just going through hell. Just think about that for a second, and then ask yourself: do I really want my kids to feel the pressure of that kind of economic trap? Do I want my kids to go through that? No, you don't. No, you don't. Well, what's the solution? The solution is not to necessarily leave the economic system, right? People talk about just pure separation. I don't think that's really possible for African Americans. I don't think that that's practical at the very least. Even if it's possible, it's not practical. And I don't even know if it's I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if it's beneficial. No, for two reasons. One, because we own a piece of America. America's our country too. We built this damn thing, and that's where all the money's at. So I think it's okay for us to take a piece of that. Second of all, if you can, some people can make it work. Some people can get in there and mix it up with the white folks and do really well, and that's a beautiful thing too. But here's the key. Here's the key. The key is not separation. The key is having options. You see, if you have options, then that means if your boss comes in there and they disrespect you, or they mistreat you, or you're going to work every day and you hate it, you can go somewhere else. You can leave. And or if you have alternative streams of income, maybe because you have a job and you have two or three side hustles, two or three investments in side hustles, right? You found other hustlers who don't have jobs. I've seen people do this. I've seen people who have a full-time job and they just take their extra money and invest in people who don't have jobs. And they say, okay, well, you don't have a job here. I'm gonna give you money to start this business, doing this thing that I will be doing if I had the time. So I'm gonna go work for the man, and I'm gonna bring that money back. I'm gonna invest in your business. You make money. You give me half. I've got an extra stream of income. I've seen that happen quite often. So teach your children these dynamics, these economic dynamics. We have a campaign actually called Plant the Seed. We're moving it out fall of 2015, so or late fall, early winter, I guess, of 2015. So if you're watching this and it's 2016 or something, you could probably Google it. But if it's not 2016, you can't Google it because it's probably not out there yet. But that's the goal. The goal is for our children to learn economic survival strategies so that they are not left behind, so they are not feeling humiliated, so they are not feeling stressed out, so they're not feeling marginalized. That's the key.